The 8th gift of 2025 in Lumber Tycoon 2 has just released, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it, starting off with where to find it. This gift can be found in the tropics, which means that you'll need to take a trip on the ferry, which can be found right behind Wood R Us, just following the road right back here. Now the ferry may momentarily not be there when you get to the dock, in which case you'll need to wait a maximum of 10 minutes before it arrives, so just do something else while you wait. It costs 400 lumber bucks to get a ferry ticket each way, so you'll need an extra 800 lumber bucks to get there, which is actually the equivalent to the price of one of these new gifts that I'm about to show you. You could buy a ticket just by talking to Hoover at the back of the ferry and selecting I'll buy a ticket, and the ferry won't depart unless you drive off the ferry or you have the Super Hoove Game Pass until you buy a ticket. Then you'll need to wait for the ferry to travel all the way over to the tropics. The trip will take 2 minutes and 12 seconds. At any time you can check when the ferry departs just by talking to Hoover and asking when do you next run. You can see 14 seconds, so I better make sure that I'm seated, because if you're not seated while the ferry is moving, you can easily fall off and lose all of your axes. Once you arrive, you'll have 6 minutes before the ferry departs back to the mainland. The new gift is located in Link's Logic, which you can find at the end of this black road right here. You just want to follow it all the way over to this shop. You can see it right here, and once you get to Link's Logic, you should easily find the new gift. It's in the exact same spot as the previous gift. So the gift is called the Bright Gift, and it can be purchased for 800 lumber bucks, with the description just saying twinkle twinkle with a star emoji. At first glance, the name, price, and description may not seem super important, but consider that this is the second ever gift that we've ever gotten in Link's Logic. The first being, of course, the twinkly gift that we got last year, but the price is actually the exact same as the twinkly gift. The name and description of the gifts are basically just swapped, and both gifts are the exact same size, and they really look very, very similar. The main difference just being the color and texture. This means that whatever's inside is very likely to be pretty similar to the other one, and it also means that we can get a pretty good idea of how much it will resell for after it goes off sale, likely around the 25th to 27th of December. Of course, basing everything off of the prices found in the Apton price sheet, just based on previous gift prices. So here you can see the twinkly gift that I was just talking about, how similar it is to the new gift, the Bright Gift, and you can see that it currently sells for 20 to 30k per gift, so that is not too bad, especially considering you only had to pay 800 lumber bucks for it, and then per truckload it's 2.5 to 3.1 million lumber bucks. So yeah, really not a bad choice for stocking up. We can of course assume that the prices and everything will be very similar for this new gift, so yeah, you're definitely going to want to stock up on this one, although there is one thing that you should definitely consider, which is that Link's Logic does close, so you got to make sure that you're here during the day, and you just want to buy as many of them as you can. Of course, if you don't have a ton of money, then be a little bit more cautious with your money, but this one is a very, very solid choice for stocking up. It's definitely going to be a good return on your investment, so I'm going to say absolutely stock up on this one. There's little risk other than if you accidentally lose these gifts somehow before they go off sale, but you can sell them for much more after they go off sale to other players as opposed to just buying them from the store, because other players won't be able to buy them from the store after. They'll have to buy them from people that have the gifts already, which means if you have the gift, you'll be able to sell them for quite a bit. Looks like it's already getting really, really dark, so Link's Logic will be closing very soon, so I won't be able to get a whole lot more, but I would imagine that the ferry is already already departed. Yep, you can see from here, there is no ferry at the end of that dock. So I missed the 6-minute mark. I'm gonna have to wait all the way, probably like 10 minutes before the ferry arrives back here, by which point Link's Logic will probably be open again. So we'll just see how this goes. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get as many as I can before Link's Logic closes, because of course these are gonna be really, really good for making a bunch of profit after they go off sale. As I said, it's very nice to get new Logic gifts because, I mean, in the past, like I've said, this is the second one, and looks like Link's Logic just closed, so I wasn't even able to buy all of those. But yeah, this is the second gift to ever be found in Link's Logic, which is super special. Means that you'll probably be able to hook it up to something logical. So that is great news for those of you who love to make logical contraptions. But of course, we don't know what's going to be inside of this. For sure, we can only make predictions on what's going to be inside of it, and of course, the Twinkly gift from last year pretty much gives away the most likely thing to be inside of this gift, but we'll just have to wait until Christmas Day when we can actually open these gifts to figure out what's going to be inside of them. Alright, the ferry has just arrived, so I'm gonna hop onto the ferry and get these back to my base. Alright, we have successfully made it back to the mainland. Let's get these onto my base so that they actually save. You're gonna want to make sure that you have a nice stockpile on your base, saved in a very safe place so that you can preserve them until they go off sale around, like I was saying, the 27th is most likely the date that these will go off sale. It's about when they went off sale last year, and that way you'll have a nice stockpile that you can resell to other players for a lot more money than you just bought them for. And since they're so cheap, I mean, it's just nice to have a bunch of them laying around, especially if they turn out to be very useful. Now, in terms of release schedule, I really don't know if I can see a pattern here. It seems a bit random to me. Let me know in the comments if you notice anything about the spacing between the gift releases that strikes you as a pattern of any kind. But honestly, to me, it just seems random. The days between gifts has been 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, and 2. Which, yeah, I don't know. To me, that seems random. Let me know if you come up with any idea for what that could mean. If there is some sort of method to the madness, because that'll help us predict when new gifts will release. We might have more coming on the way. We don't know yet, but there could absolutely be more gifts on the way. So if you guys figure out a pattern, it might help us figure out how many more gifts there are to come and when the next item will drop. But like I said, I'm pretty clueless. I've stopped trying to rely on any sort of pattern so I can be on time to announce all of the new releases. But yeah, let me just put this in the lineup so you guys can get a nice look at all of the gifts we've got so far. This is, of course, like I said, the 8th gift that we've gotten so far, so that is super exciting. We've got a lot of gifts this year, and there's still room for more. We still have like an entire week before Christmas, so that's super exciting. I can't wait to see if we get anything more. I would be absolutely stoked if we do, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. If anything else comes out, I'll show you exactly where to get it and everything you need to know about it. And also, of course, I'll make a video on what's inside of all of these gifts once we're actually able to open them. One other thing to look forward to, which I think is actually happening tomorrow, is the winter event should be starting, I think. I mean, the 18th is usually when that starts, so make sure you're subscribed so you get notified exactly when that comes out. I'm super excited for the winter event because I love seeing the map all snowy and everything. Gets me in the mood for Christmas. But yeah, that's gonna pretty much do it for the new gift. The lineup is looking pretty awesome so far. So excited about this. I'll leave a link in the description to the price list, by the way, that we went over during the video. Oh yeah, one other thing that might be useful to note. A proper truckload of these new bright gifts will contain around 60 to 70 of them, I would say. So make sure you have around about that much in each of the truckloads that you stock up on, so you can sell them for full price, the 2 to 3 million lumber bucks that you can resell them for after they go off sale. That'll cost you around about 50,000 each, so yeah, that's not really all that bad. If you have like 100k, you can easily just spend that on all all of the bright gifts, get 2 truckloads, and that's an easy 5 million lumber bucks, pretty much guaranteed. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video once it's out. See ya!